Johnny Cueto. That's the guy that seems like is probably the next piece for the Padres. We talked about Jurickson Profar. We talked about some other options that they have. They could potentially trade for an arm, but it does seem like they really, really want Johnny Cueto. Do you like the idea of them bringing him in?
Definitely. I mean, like Cueto's not anything crazy, you know. It's probably not what we expected this offseason. I'm sure a lot of you guys maybe expected Rodon or Eovaldi, you know, something like that. But we ended up getting Bogarts, knowing, all right, we still need another starting pitcher. And how that was going to get done, whether through the trade, whether it's Johnny Cueto, whatever it was, I'm confident in what AJ Preller is trying to do. Johnny Cueto is a good option though. Last year he threw 158 innings. He's a perfectly capable fourth or fifth starter. He had a 3.35 ERA last year. He's not going to strike out a lot of guys, but he's going to create a lot of soft contact. And is that what you really want in the current state of the MLB? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to age, how he's going to age. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. But if you're willing to kind of take a little bit of a risk, knowing you do need that depth anyway, you probably go get Johnny Cueto. Hope he gets another 150 plus innings out of. Hope you get another 50 plus, 150 plus innings out of him. You're probably not going to get a 3.35 ERA. That's kind of unlikely. But wouldn't you be happy with like a high 3, low 4 ERA for a guy that's going to be 37 to start the season and as your 4 or 5 starter? And let's say you sign him, right? You get Cueto. You don't give up any pieces. You save those for the trade deadline. You reevaluate at the trade deadline. If it didn't work, oh well. You're probably still over 500, still competing for a playoff spot, and that's going to be the goal for the Padres. I mean, you want to win the division. I'm thinking right now this is like a 92, 93 win team, maybe 94. Adding 2 guys that, I mean, Xander Bogaerts probably had like 5 or 6 WAR last year. Fernando had a 7 the year before. You're probably a 94 win team right now, hopefully. But you also lost a bunch of pitching depth. And we saw in 2021 how pitching depth really, really killed us. And that's where Johnny Cueto comes in. That's where Seth Lugo comes in. That's where, you know, hopefully other guys too, because I don't think we can just get Cueto and be satisfied. I think we might need one more guy. And they'll probably look into the into AAA arms, Jake Groom, Ryan Weathers, maybe to try and get some extended innings out of Adrian Morejon. But whatever they do, I mean, I trust the process. So I like the idea of getting Cueto. I do. I mean, 158 innings out of a guy that's 37, that's probably going to cost you, what do you think, around 8 to 10 million, maybe a little more. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because then you have pieces to save at the trade deadline. Let's say the Brewers aren't competing. Oh, hey, Corbin Burns just became available. Woodruff just became available, or I don't know, whatever big pitcher on the market might become available. Nobody thought Juan Soto was going to become available when the season started. So, I mean, hey, you really never know what's going to become available. So if you save your prospects for until then, you're looking pretty good. We know AJ's not scared to make a trade at the deadline, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he made one before the season started either for kind of a lower tier guy.
And I think I said it a while back when we were talking about, like, I think this was post Seth Lugo, I want to say. It's like, okay, you bring in Seth Lugo, and I said I think that they might be done for the offseason. Like, going into spring training, I think this might be what they rock with. I'd feel a lot better about it if you add in Cueto. But I still think that at any point from now until the trade deadline, they might try to trade for another ace. Like, that might, I think that's probably what they're thinking. Now, the problem is, and Isaac, I think we were talking about this, you know, if the Marlins were to sign Cueto, all of a sudden it's like,
Oh
oh, the
my
Padres,
god.
they got the Padres on the ropes almost. Like, if the Padres have an injury, like, then they're stuck. And it's like the Marlins are sitting there like, oh, you want to trade with us? Yeah, you can have someone, but like, you're going to have to give up more than you thought you were going to have to give up. So I think it's interesting, like, where they're at. In terms of Johnny Cueto, the player, I actually really like him, like, at like that fit. I'm thinking of the last time I saw him. Dude, the last time I saw Cueto pitch, I think this is at least, was the time when he got completely rocked against us. Do you remember that? I didn't watch him at all last year, really. And he
I
got
didn't.
destroyed. It was like 8 runs in 2 innings when he was on the
Yeah,
Giants.
I didn't get to watch him too much this year because he was with the White Sox, but got to watch
Yeah.
him a bunch with the Giants. I don't
up and
know
down.
if I don't know if I remember that game, but it's just always fun watching him pitch because of his. I mean, he gives so much deception on the mound with his deliveries and his change of velocities that it's honestly really fun to watch. Like, yeah, he's gotten older, but like I said, last year he had like a 3.35 or 3.5 some ERA, something like that. And I think one of the years before he was around a 4, whether it be 2021 or 2019, I forgot which one, but I
Last
mean,
year he had just over a 4. A
yeah,
little under a 4.1. But he pitched 114 innings, so not like too long.
nothing crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be happy with that kind of ERA if he's giving 150 something plus innings like last
Yeah,
year.
that's the only thing that I wonder. Because in 2018 and 2019, he was banged up. He's 36 years old,
Yeah,
but he has kind of a pretty I don't know, like you get all the different movements. He throws a fastball, cutter, slider, and a changeup, so you're getting the ball like it's moving in a lot of different directions, which I like. Where like a lot of guys you see like it's like similar pitches, they're all kind of like based off the same movement. I feel like that's what's kind of kept his career alive is like just playing well, having good command. He has great command. He doesn't really walk many guys. You brought that his strikeout rate's low, and it's not really like great for today's game. But we were talking about this before when we briefly mentioned Cueto, but he's a guy like you don't want him pitching as your 4 in the playoffs. However, if he's on your staff all year, like that's a pretty good guy. If he can get you 100, dude, even 120 innings would be nice. Like that's solid.
yeah, definitely.
Um, so I don't know. I like the idea of bringing him in. If you look at his baseball savant, his strikeout rate 8th percentile, his walk rate 88th percentile.
Hmm.
Um, pretty good in the hard hit column. What does that sound like? That sounds like a hugely successful season in San Diego. That's what that sounds like to me. Because you see like guys that just if you don't allow like that crazy hard contact, you look at the defense that's going to be the infield defense right now. That's
Yeah, it's pretty
that's
nice.
maybe the top defense in the league and like infield wise, right? Is
Yeah,
there someone honestly, I haven't really thought about that. Is there someone better defensively in terms of infielders right now?
I don't really know. I mean, I feel like people would say, and it just depends on the person, whether you look at last year or the year before, but people would say Xander Bogaerts might be a weak point at shortstop, but I'm pretty sure he's either coming off a gold glove or a really, really good defensive season. I mean, he made a lot of strides this past off season to improve on defense, and it definitely showed over there in Boston. So, I mean, shoot, if he's bringing that over to San Diego, you legit might have the best defensive infield in all of baseball. I mean, perennial platinum glove contender Manny Machado. Xander Bogart's off his best defensive season. Ha-seong Kim is consistently being brought up at least for a gold glove and won many gold gloves in the KBO. Jake Cronenworth. I feel like I saw this tweet earlier and it said it was like a baseball savant page, not page, but like, you know how it says what it says up top and then the percentile. And it said underrated 100 percentile. Bro, that is Jake Cronenworth. I firmly believe that is Jake Cronenworth. His defense doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, those streaks he has where he goes super hot doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, Jake Cronenworth feels like he plays like a gold glover and he doesn't get brought up enough. So I definitely think you can make an argument that the infield defense might be one of the best in all of baseball, if not the best.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's interesting about that too is okay, I was thinking about this the other day because I was like sitting in bed or something. I was thinking like, damn, Fernando Tatis is really not gonna ever play shortstop again. Because I was thinking about it and I was like, think how much better he would be without Hosmer at first and with Cronenworth. And then I started thinking about Cronenworth's defense. And do you remember when Cronenworth was playing a little bit of first? I think it was last season, I want to say. Yeah, it was a little bit last season. And people were like, like, he can't really pick the ball and stuff. And it's like, dude, he got like subbed in like mid-season, not
Come
playing his
on,
position, and he still looked good. Like,
so it's
I think Cronenworth is gonna have a pretty big year. Like, in terms of power, his numbers should go up. He has way more lineup protection. And in terms of defense, he's gonna be really good at first. He's not super like lanky, so like he's not gonna have like the crazy stretches that you see some of like the lot like bigger guys have, but he's gonna be really good. Like he's not gonna make many errors. He's gonna pick the ball. I mean, just like how he plays second, like he just makes play after play after play and rarely has any mistakes. So I think that's something that's gonna be kind of underrated for any guy, and especially a guy like Cueto, for instance, where it's like there's gonna be a lot of contact on him. That's fine. That's going to be completely fine for the Padres if they get Cueto and he doesn't strike out many guys like that. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. So I do like the idea of bringing in Cueto, but anything else on him that you're kind of thinking of?
No, man. I mean, I also just think he fits the Padres culture, and I mean, he's a fun, super fun guy. The Padres like having a lot of fun, so I think he's a perfect fit for the Padres. And yeah, I'd be excited to have him. I mean, we both brought it up. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but I definitely think that you know, if his stuff plays still at his age, he can be a pretty useful pitcher for the Padres. It's not like we're asking him to pitch any major innings. Like, you know, throw him out there against the Rockies, or you know, any of the crappy teams that are out there, and you can expect a decent outing out of him. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see where Cueto goes, because if he comes to us, then probably still need pitching, but not as bad as we did at one point. And if he goes to the Marlins, we might get fleeced.